Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I'm laughing at this because I don't know what you're about to experience. The SNP are noted for coming up with some pretty off-the-wall bonkers ideas, and that's fine, and they announce them, then we laugh at them, pick holes in them, and then move on and see what they're going to come up with next. But this guy takes the biscuit. His name is Campbell Martin. He is an ex-SNP MSP from 2003 to 2007. And he's called back out the woodwork with claims that are so absurd and so obviously untrue, so obviously bonkers, that I think it's a step beyond their normal bonkers. I think actually, and I mean this genuinely, I think it's possibly clinically paranoid schizophrenia or some kind of delusional architecture within his mind. Dissociative syndrome, something like that. He is so off his tree in terms of grabbing hold of reality that I think he may actually literally, and I genuinely mean it, be off his meds. He's delusional to that point. It isn't just the usual delusional that we say about Hamza Yousaf. I mean, seriously, medically, I think it may be the case. But we'll take a look at what he's saying, and it is astounding, and it will blow your mind. And it's so obviously not true. I mean, you only have to think about it, apply the tiniest bit of logic and you'll know it's not true. But it is, it's funny. Anyway, well, trust me on this, it's funny. We'll go in, have a look at this story, and have a laugh at Campbell Martin. Unless, of course, he genuinely is ill, and then we'll sympathise with him. And then we'll laugh with him. Here goes. Right, guys, grab your unicorns. We'll go for a gallop through this guy's mental lunacy. Former SNP MSP claims the party has been infiltrated by the British state and they have sidelined independence. Are you kidding me? Sidelining it? Hamza Yousaf and all of them never stopped talking about it, right? Anyway, Campbell Martin, who served at Holyrood between 2003 and 2007, claimed that the security service agents have risen through the ranks of the SNP and they were pushing the gender issues to make the party unelectable. Well, unless you're saying Nicola Sturgeon is MI5 or MI6, it doesn't ring true. Now, we know Bond was Scottish, of course, much famously. But, I don't see Nicola Sturgeon 007, being anything anytime soon. Former SNP MSP has claimed the party has been infiltrated by the British state, who sidelined independence and embraced gender policies that make the party unelectable. Well, you do know that it was a Greens issue, not an SNP issue. And then once it had been raised, Nicola Sturgeon pushed it all the way. Ostensibly, it cost her her job, although we know it didn't really. But all of them are doing it. Anyway, the ex-politician and journalist, does that mean ex-politician and ex-journalist, or ex-politician and now current journalist? Who knows? Wrote on a pro-Skexit blog that MI5 assets have now captured and controlled the SNP executive after working their way up the totem pole. He claimed that he had seen evidence of this when working in the Whip's office at Holyrood. Produce your evidence. What a load of rubbish this is. If the state were to totally control the SNP, as he's saying, they wouldn't be as obnoxiously bonkers as they clearly are. Also, this whole gender idea wasn't the SNP, it was the Greens. Anyway, Mr. Orley suggesting that the British state have started this in every country in the world that's allowing it. Mr. Martin suggested that senior party figures at cabinet level, who he did not name, I'd please name them, it'd be fun, have been passing information to British intelligence services and were focusing on gender policies to make the party unelectable and damage the independence cause. I just love the idea that Nicola Sturgeon is an agent for MI5. I just think that is stunning, isn't it? The 63-year-old was elected as an SNP MSP in 2003, but was expelled a year later after launching numerous broadsides against John Swinney. Yeah, but sometimes you just can't help yourself, can you? He was leader at the time. He claimed that state surveillance was being utilised to spy on the party as it grew and won power for the first time in 2007. This is just everything that is classic about paranoia, isn't it? He wrote, the SNP is completely compromised. It's been captured and controlled by the British state. The difference between those early days of the Scottish Parliament and today is that the British state assets in the SNP have, over the intervening years, risen through the ranks and now hold senior positions that have allowed them to influence party policies and direction, such as adopting a lack of urgency in delivering independence. Well, I wish they had. I truly wish they had, because then all the money they're spunking away on independence could be spent on other things. Mr. Martin, is he even looking at the same party? Mr. Martin even praised the British state for playing a blinder and damaging the cause of Skexit. He added, today's SNP is so corrupted by British agents that it has sidelined independence and embraced gender policies that make the party unelectable. The party has always been unelectable. The very fact that it wants independence makes it unelectable. It's unbelievable. Isn't it a joke, isn't it? Anyway, a key supporter of Alex Salmond, the former MSP, did accept that people would accuse him of being a conspiracy theorist. No, just plain nuts. But he pointed out that the intelligence services infiltrated both the IRA and the National Union of Miners, whose late former president Joe Gormley was exposed as a special branch informant in 2002. Yes, that's infiltration for the purposes of gaining information and gaining intelligence, not rising through the ranks to actually control it. That has never happened. He added, it would be more extraordinary if they ignored the SNP, which is a party which supposedly wants to break up the British state. His comments are also believed by a number of nationalists who claim they are monitored by the likes of the 77th Brigade. And that's these. There's the 77th Brigade. Nasty Nats and anti-vaxxers united in belief about the 77th Brigade conspiracy. This is a few years ago now. And it's been proved subsequently that it is in fact a load of dingoes' kidneys. Anyway, other veteran SNP figures have also claimed similar theories. Former Deputy Leader Jim Sillars said, when I joined in 1980, Dr. Robert McIntyre, the party's then President and first MP, took me to one side and said, do you realise we will all be penetrated? Well, to be fair, most of the men in the SNP have been. Very few of the women. Anyway, he said, in fact, there was some degree of suspicion that I might be one of the penetrators. I think you might be. Given my Labour background, he said. The great problem is we have identifying is just how deep the infiltration goes and how high up it goes. Well, what are you saying? You're saying the likes, honestly. Nicola Sturgeon, he's saying Alex Salmond. All that fishy doings, isn't it? What is the scale of these things? And what angle are you taking? I'll stop with them now. Former Health Secretary Alex Neil also believes that the security services are operating within the Scottish Government. He says, if I were First Minister, and boy does he want to be, I would be operating on the assumption that there would be people who are out to do us in from inside the organisation. Who they are, who employs them, etc. And we just don't know. Gordievsky, was it Oleg Gordievsky? Who was a Russian spy. It was very weird. He was a Russian spy spying on the West, but he was actually a double agent for the West who was actually spying on Russia while spying on the West. And so he was getting some really good intel, genuinely true intel from the West to give to his Russian bosses, and rose up through the ranks with this intel, which would come in not too often, little drips. And he rose through the ranks, and for years he was spying. And one of the things, when they got him out, and they basically put him in the boot of a car and drove him over the Finnish border years ago, early 80s I think it was. And he said, no, he said, paranoia is a wonderful thing. He said, paranoia in organisations is how you win, he says. I used to keep dropping hints that there were spies in the various directorates in the KGB. He said every now and again they'd have a complete clear out. He said it was great, and then you got all the new boys in. Of course, they didn't know anything. And so you could start with them, and you'd go in and you'd just tackle the new boys. He said, did it regular as clockwork. He said, there was never a spy. There was never a spy. But the paranoia that there might have been, utterly destroyed and weakened the KGB. He said it was a blinder to play it. And I think that's as near as it's got. Of course, there's no agents in the SNP. Agents go in not to rule, not to draw attention to themselves, but to gather information. They don't rise up. They don't want to be important people. It's too dangerous. And are we really... I mean, really? Really? Nicola Sturgeon, MI5? Yeah, that might explain why she's not being prosecuted, though, isn't it? Might explain a lot. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Is she? Is MI5 running Sturgeon? Has MI5 been running Sturgeon for years? Wow, that puts a whole new ball game on it, doesn't it? I shall come up in a frame of astonishment. Now, the police always denied tipping Sturgeon off, and yet she knew she had her bags packed and ready to go when they turned up for Pete Murrell. Did she receive a little telephone call from a little dirty office down by the river? Unbelievable. The more I think about it, actually the more believable it becomes. It does explain an awful lot of things. Nicola Sturgeon, MI5 agent. Wow. You want to really hope so. You really do. If she is, I will change my entire view of Nicola Sturgeon. I will say she has played an absolute blinder. Wow. Anyway, that is all speculation, but hey, there's a lot to speculate about. I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope for hell that this video has completely earned a subscription. It's got to be worth a subscription for leaving you with the image that Nicola Sturgeon is an MI5 agent. Come on, hit the button and share, and very much like this video. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and don't meet men in dark alleys unless they say, "Tonight the fox is flying." Bye.